Hey guys, Tommy Carrigan here with Tommy Untamed. Thanks for tuning in. We got an awesome guest today. You're going to enjoy it. Guys, please go use the QR code in the video. Please go buy the energy drink. They're sponsoring the company, 242 Energy. You need caffeine. It's that simple. You don't need anything more than that. Even Andrei understands. He's smiling. He gets it. Caffeine. Yeah, exactly. Thursday, August 14th, 2025 at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Mr. Andrei Martyanov, and you've been on here a couple times before. It's been a minute since we last chatted, but I've gotten better as the show goes over the years where I stopped being so OCD about scheduling guests, and I kind of just wait until they pop up into my mind. And so I was on the treadmill like, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, and I was like, I haven't talked to Andre in forever. And I just sent you an email, and here we are. But because we have a limited amount of time, guys, you can go in the description. You can find the links to all things Andre. But Mr. Martyanov, please introduce yourself for those who maybe don't know you, and then we'll jump into it.
Well, I am former Soviet naval officer. I am a U.S. citizen. I lived in the United States for 30 years, more than that. And so I'm a writer, uh, fairly famous in the national security circles. Let's put it this way. I have blog and yeah, I have my video channel in Smoothie X12. Yeah, has nothing to do with anything, just it's
Yeah.
this.
Whenever I give that to people, they're like, "What's smoothie mean?" I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't think it
yeah.
means anything. I think it means
Yeah,
smoothie.
it's stuck to me. It's a very long
Don't worry about it.
story. So, but yeah, that's who I am. I just do the military political and geopolitical analysis. That's pretty much who I am.
And you have a great book, and you and I have talked about it before, and the link to that was also in the description. If I remember correctly, it's Losing Military Supremacy, and it's kind of about the overextended U.S. forces. And I think the immediate low-hanging fruit target is well, Andrei's loyal to the Soviet Union. I'm like, no, he lives in the United States. He loves the United States. He also loves where he's from. It's an objective book. So but that doesn't matter because you have an accent. So, of course, you are a KGB asset sent here to
Oh,
control my
absolutely.
podcast. And he is my
Yeah,
handler,
absolutely.
and we report to Putin. But so, in terms of the losing military supremacy, it is kind of interesting that you and I first talked about that book really in the opening, I don't know, months of the Ukraine war. And we're still here in August 2025. And how does that apply to it? Is there any positive to Trump coming in? Is it business as usual militarily? Is there any sort of reeling it back in, or is it a runaway train at this point?
Well, Trump doesn't control anything, honestly. The only thing he controls is his immediate surrounding, and even that is in the question. And losing military supremacy came out 8 years ago, essentially. It was written eight
Oh
years
yeah,
ago.
yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah, I have the whole new one, which is called, well, relatively new one, came out last year. It's called America's Final War. This is where I describe that American system overall, political, industrial, economic, whatever industrial is left, and is simply not designed to fight real war. It is designed for primarily expeditionary operations, and uh, as such, Trump has no any kind of leverage against Russia, and he is, frankly, schizophrenic, mutually contradictory statements all the time. It's just one of the issues pertaining to the whole problem between Russian-American relations, of which I speak for the second decade now, nonstop. I spoke before, but I mean, this is just now my essentially the tune. This is my only song. Is the fact that United States cannot fight the real conventional combined arms war of large scale. Period. And as such, the only thing which matters in geopolitics and the only thing which matters of what you bring to any kind of the, let's say, negotiating table is the correlation of forces and means. And you need to bring something which is, tangible, and you can say, oh, you see, I have that. United States lost the arms race, not just simply lost it. It lost it by the knockout. And that is the problem for Trump, especially with his famous statements, as you all know, that United States alone just won the World War II, defeated Hitler and all that. Yeah, with the small help of those, insignificant Ruskies, so, and that tells you pretty much to what degree of the confusion and, frankly, military incompetence modern American elites are. And as the result, he is coming, as I already made the video, it's up right now uh, on the YouTube channel, that, as ABC News put it, the White House is framing this meeting as the listening experience. Okay, that's good. Make no mistake, I'm all for it. United States and Russia still, the United States still superpower. No matter what you say, it's still a significant economy. It is definitely has nuclear potential, very large nuclear force, and things of this nature. So, it's good that they're talking. It's good that they're talking without Europe, because Europe is a done deal. It's over for Europe. And yeah, if it's listening experience, good. Let Mr. Trump listen, face to face, personally from Mr. Putin, that how his national intelligence, basically, of the United States. Well, I mean, they live in the alternative universe, but that already brings back to, the initial, pretty much from my blog, the start of my blog in 2014. United States doesn't have experts in Russia. None. Zero. And that's the problem. That's what many people do not understand. What they have in basically about Russia is either kind of their, former Jewish dissidents, or Solzhenitsyn, in all of these iterations. So, the 100 millions of Russians died in Gulag, so I'm not supposed to be here, obviously, because of that, but here I am. And so all kinds of stuff. And as the result, they have the iteration of the same BS, basically, reproduced, regurgitated. And I made a number of points, if you wish, and present a number of examples of the so-called Russian experts in the United States who only deliver narratives. They don't know anything about military. They don't know anything about real economy. They don't understand Russian culture. And their task is to basically reinforce American ego.
Yeah.
And they were for decades telling those people from CIA and, what they wanted to hear. What is the first thing American diplomat or CIA agent, undercover agent, does when they come to Russia? They find there's some fringe dissident who is ready to sell whatever, and
Yeah.
nobody serious who is responsible for the policies and stating policies will talk to them. And as a result, yeah, look at them. I mean, it's just clowns all over.
There is, you know, regardless of right or wrong, we're in a vacuum. There's a purpose to propaganda, right?
Yeah,
Internationally and domestically. You can either it can be
absolutely.
outright, it can be an intelligence, even a military asset in terms of psychological warfare, and then domestically morale, blah blah blah. I get it. Recruitment, I get all that. What you don't want though is you don't want yes men in the Oval Office. The guys you want in the Oval Office, you want them to be assholes and tell you the truth. What you
Yeah,
don't want is because, like, number one, you could say, well, Tommy, you're falling for Andrei's KGB tactics, which is true because Andrei and I are both KGB. But no, I mean, statistically alone, let's just choose World War II. 425,000 dead Americans, no small amount, 27 million dead Russians. It's not it's not comparable. It's at least 54 times, it's probably closer to 60 times the number of deaths. And that doesn't downplay US involvement for people here in
no,
Kiev.
no, that's what I'm saying
But
all the
but my
time.
point
Yeah,
is that alone is so wildly detached from reality that you can only imagine it has to trickle down to a degree. And even now, you see it online. You've seen it for the last couple of years. Somehow the notion it is schizophrenic of holding two ideas simultaneously in
and
your
yeah,
mind. It is that Russia is about to take over the entire European continent, and then after that, they're coming to the United States with soldiers. And at the same time, Russia is a backwater nation full of babushkas and vodka, and they are days away from losing Ukraine. But we have those two ideas at the same time that they are both the preeminent nefarious power about to pull a coup on the
yeah.
planet, and at the same time, soldiers are defecting because they don't have socks.
It's called Russophrenia. What's the name of this wonderful Irish journalist who created this term, which is Russophrenia? Don't go any further. Look at Sarah Payne. She has degree in history, and obviously she has no clue about anything military related, realistically. But she teaches the strategy, whatever that means, in the U.S. Naval War College. She admits the issue of the ratios in World War II, giving credit to the Soviet Union to defeating of Hitler. But then she tells that, oh yeah, Putin should, put those money which he uses for special military operation into the roads. Uh, she has no clue. She is PhD, the product of this degree mill, which is totally discredited. All this Ivy League. Ivy League humanities is it's
Nothing.
essentially University of Phoenix.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's yeah, anybody who tells me that they have any clue about the world outside, I laugh at them. Get me any PhD in strategy, whatever that means. I mean, those people. There are people who teach strategy who never served a day in the uniform. Forget about having the serious military academic background, considering the fact that American military education is a joke, including on the level of the military academies, so service academies. So, and when you begin to explain it to them, not to speak about the fact that Sarah Payne better get herself into Russia and see herself for about those roads, okay? Because she would be surprised with the Russian highway system, which is expanding daily. And so those people, they have no clue. And it is an echo chamber. This is the opening chapter in my latest book, America's Final War, which it is. And I write about it. The echo chamber and United States basically led itself. It's essentially bought its own propaganda.
Hmm.
That's what it is. And this happens inevitably. It's everywhere. It goes across the board. It doesn't apply only to the United States. It's the same as the Soviet Union essentially bought its own propaganda, It happens all the time. This is the human nature and the nature of the states. But United States created, basically confabulated history of the post-World War II world. It started with writing the history of the World War II, which was, of course, written for the United States, including obviously, all those field manuals, all those strategic concepts by none other than people like Erich von Manstein, Hauser, all kinds of the Wehrmacht and SS generals who have been delivered to the United States and also resided, obviously, washed off their crimes against humanity and war crimes in Western Europe. They created those things. American military is the offspring of the Wehrmacht.
Hmm.
That's what it is. And the question is, why did you go and do something and basically copy or fashion yourself after the force which was utterly destroyed? But you see, that's the civilizational issue. For those elites which came to power after, well, we know what Truman was saying about, that the more Germans and Russians kill themselves, the better for the United States. I'm almost quoting it. But in the end, he stated, but we still don't want Germans to win. But these are the type of the people, cynical, not very bright, actually, who came after World War II. And once Eisenhower was gone, the last truly great American president. I mean, really great president. It was it. They bought in those crap. I mean, they had those people like Erich von Manstein, like all kinds of those German Wehrmacht and SS officers. They actually were cadre officers, cadre employees of the US Army Department of History. Guess what they wrote for them? How brilliant Germans were, how they killed 150 billion Russians, and we just lost two tanks, But for some reason, those damn Ruskies, they threw those corpses at us, So that's why Solzhenitsyn appeared, and the bunch of morons in the literature classes in the United States still read this garbage, and they believe it's a great literature. It's the same reason they call Nabokov great, Lolita, but it's the whole other story. It's about pedophile center in Washington, D.C. But so it's, you look at this, it's like, dudes, wake up, look up at the real facts, look up at the operations. And as the result, my thesis, which I was promoting, and as you already stated, this in no way detracts anything, for example, from the heroism and dedication of the Western allies during World War II, or that, the United States doesn't have necessarily force which still can fight somehow, somebody. But the point is, as the special military operation demonstrated manifestly, it's they're amateurs. The counteroffensive of 2023, Russians were scratching their heads. And I'm talking about operational level officers, let alone they, I mean, you get any American general, even Donahue or Kavoli, the brigade commander in the Russian armed forces will laugh in their faces, for their level of understanding of the modern war and the catastrophe which they planned first during counteroffensive. They killed 160,000 of armed forces of Ukraine and all those advisors. Then, of course, came Kursk, which again, it's all for PR. And many people do not understand that Russians killed 80,000 of the armed forces of Ukraine and all those NATO advisors and volunteers on this piece of land, which is 159 square miles. You know what it is? It's about half of New York.
Jeez.
So those people do not understand this because you cannot explain it in numerical sense to any, especially American general who, like Kavoli, has a degree in biology. Well, now they have this Donahue guy, this also, and considering the extremely low academic level of for example, the new cadres of the U.S. Army coming through basically the military academy at the West Point. It's a catastrophe there, academic catastrophe, and discipline catastrophe. There are a number of statements to this effect, including the book by Tim Buchan, The Cost of Loyalty, and of course the writing of the officers who teach there, who describe the catastrophe. And so as the result, you have those people who grew up with losing their wars. The United States didn't win a war since 1950. And suddenly they begin to lose. And nobody asks the question, well, why do we lose? Well, because you don't study the real war. You cannot study anything when you have the cold fairy tales
Yeah.
written by Wehrmacht as presented to you, and you cannot draw the proper, basically, lessons from that. And that is why I am on record stating that essentially what we observe today in the special military operations are the final salvos of the World War II. It's just that United States is given right now the last off ramp. Trump either makes his mind, it is his wars already. It is his war already. No matter what he says, it's his war. In fact, it was this first term where the whole thing started to escalate. But I mean, if he takes it, that's fine. If he doesn't matter. United States can do absolutely nothing in terms of changing, even on the tactical level. And what can I say? I mean, I warned about it. Many of my friends in Russia warned about it. And those friends are colonels and even high, people who deal with the serious military. And that is why you cannot explain, for example, that's in simple terms, what is the difference between, for example, the planning organs of the commands in the United States armed forces and general staff in Russia, and why general staff will win every time. You just cannot explain that. Joint Chiefs of Staff is nothing, really. They don't have any operational control. It's just merely coordinating organ. While in reality, when you look at the General Staff of Russia, it's all encompassing, essentially, organization, including having the operational command of the Russian armed forces. And these are dramatic differences. And nobody learned nothing. You wouldn't when you have those so-called experts who are not experts at all.
When you say last off ramp, is that it because it like you're saying, buying their own propaganda, that's a civilizational thing, right? The empire gets big on some merit or geographic locate or whatever. They get big, they kind of hit their apex and then they overreach. And once you start to overreach, there's really two paths. It's dissolution, a slow fizzling out, or very rarely, but not impossibly they pull back in and save themselves for, a couple more centuries or something. When you say last off ramp, do you mean this is the last chance for Trump to turn around and go, we have to stop pretending like it's 1950s America, where 1950s America was massive because of the armaments industry after World War II,
Yeah.
but also because the rest of the world was bombed to shit. So it was a crazy difference, which is
Yeah, this
sure.
well, yeah, and there's no doubt United States was responsible for half GDP, however stupid this GDP, but let's put it this way, half industries in the world. United
Sure.
States was the military industrial monster, okay?
But it's
So,
been
yeah,
80 years. It's changed.
yeah,
It's been 80 years.
yeah, they still don't get it. I mean, and again, do not forget, look at the players, so to speak, of the American geopolitical thinkers. None of the world class, none. It's all second rate. You have Brzezinski, you have Huntington. Well, Huntington had a couple of lucid ideas, and he still failed miserably in trying to describe the world because they are civilians who never heard or never understood the war for what it is. They bought into the fairy tales which were fed to them by the Wehrmacht and SS, the same as James Angleton, the chief of the
Yeah,
counterintelligence
James
of
Jesus
CIA,
Angleton.
had Mr. Golitsyn. Golitsyn sold him cornucopia of BS.
Yeah.
And Golitsyn was actually, unlike this bunch of the cretins who are today parade like, oh yeah, he's like Rebecca Kerfler. She knows there's some. She doesn't know anything. She is the English teacher. That's who she is by education. But at least Golitsyn was a cadre KGB officer of the foreign. He was a colonel, so he was a real deal. He had the issue into the operations of KGB. Then he became the turncoat, and initially he provided the proper very valuable, obviously, information about for Angleton, and then he started to sell to him unbelievable crap. I mean, and Angleton believed him. So in this case, I mean, in the end, Golitsyn accidentally damaged CIA more than anybody ever would. And so and this is what we have. This is a repetition, the same old, same old. And that is why when you get those people like, oh yeah, he is expert in something, you begin to look at those experts. Oh my God, humanities degree in some political science, which is, it's not a science. There's no
No,
such thing as political science.
no.
Then they have the degree. I worked for some journal, journalism. Hunter Thomas description of what press is in his Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
No.
Read his definition. It's all profanity. Okay, so and you have these people who said, "Well, no, you don't." And the professionals, real professionals. Intel or Cint military, they start with the simple thing. They say, I don't know. What is this? I need to really research and learn. Now, if you do not have the toolkit, such as the understanding of the fundamentals, and I'm talking about physical, mathematical fundamentals, that's what is taught in military academies,
Yeah.
apart from the technology, of the tactics, operations, and strategy. They don't teach that in history. They teach this. Oh, this guy said this. They moved this, corps or army here. Oh, hooray, we won. Here are some, common platitudes about how to fight the war. No, 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 no. This is not how wars are fought. This is not how operations are planned. And this is, you have to explain to those people that this is extremely complex thing. This is extremely, how to say, trying and demanding thing, And but no, you look today, each other, every other, if not 90% of actually anything what you hear and read in press, in media, whatever, and these are written by amateurs. You look at people like Kellogg or Keane or Petraeus, let alone Ben Hodges. Ben Hodges, you know what? Asylum is crying for him for a long time. They're discrediting the whatever left remnants of the any kind of the reputation of the U.S. Armed Forces. But these guys are constantly there. Remember, they were saying that Moscow is about to fall. They do not even understand those things because they never faced a real war. United States Army never fought under the conditions of the consistent, sustained fire impact. They simply have no experience. There is nothing which is written in the field manuals or anything. The only thing which is written there, oh yeah, we bring to bear our fires, long range fires. Well, hello. In real war, let's say with Russia, which they were, masturbating to for so many years, is you are outgunned, outranged, out everything, outmaneuvered, and they still believe in maneuver. And then suddenly you begin to have people in serious, military organizations such as like Training and Doctrinal Command, TRDOC. They say, oh yeah, if we're going to fight Russians, we're going to be losing 3,600 people a day. So by the end of the fourth week, we're gonna actually achieve the losses of Vietnam, KIAs, by the end of the fourth week. Granted that by that time, United States Army will have no high precision weapons left. United States Army doesn't have real air defense, as the Iran demonstrated. 35% effectiveness is pathetic, So, and yeah, and this is just this is a minimal bottom line numbers. Reality will be, of course, God forbids, that it will be not 3,600 a day. It will be like, well, one brigade, full brigade a day, and yeah, they better wake up. They better wake up. They, as I was on record for so many years, that they lost the arms race by a knockout, and that changed something fundamental. Speaking about what Trump's comes to, with Alaska, in Alaska, with something in his hands, nothing. And the question is, geopolitics is about balance of power. Balance of power. Well, actually, geopolitics is the balance of power, the other side of the balance of power. Balance of power rests on the military, industrial, scientific, and cultural capacity of the nations. The United States simply doesn't have people, at least in the position of influence or power, who understand that. They don't have the grasp of it.
And the thing is, like, so everything we're talking about, like, oh, the United States can't do X, Y, and Z. At a cursory glance, if you just don't look at this at all, you'd say that, we're just beating up on the U.S. But when you look at what we're discussing, we're talking about foreign wars. It's like, well, then it'd be like if I had three roommates and none of them paid rent. And I was like, I don't know, man, Tommy's working 18-hour shifts. He's only sleeping 3 hours a night. And you're going on and on. It doesn't mean that you're an inadequate man. What it means is you go, maybe I shouldn't be paying rent for these guys. And you reel it back in. So everything we're talking about is like, yeah, Vietnam, Korea, these are all things that didn't need to happen. If you were to, I don't know, come back and defend your country, or you could even expand and say defend your hemisphere, hey, a lot of things all of a sudden become, not only do you have more people for less area, you're also not going up against another country in their hemisphere. So you don't have to go toe to toe with Russia. There is a natural multipolar balance to
Yeah.
civilization, and that's not a bad thing. That's not shitting on any one country. It just means that there's kind of a natural thing. Like, it doesn't mean that you can't have moments of extraordinary activity, World War II, World War One, whatever, where you overreach. I get it. But for the most part, it's you're kind of ready and naturally, organically capable of defending your own area, and that's kind of what it should be.
Yeah.
It's it's
It's simple as that. Yeah, it's geographical, obviously geographic factor here, definitely. And do not forget, again, United States is uniquely positioned geography-wise in terms of
it's insane.
defense. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
you have the mighty Canada to the north and Mexico to the south. So granted that Mr. Trump, and make no mistake, I do not necessarily. Not like it, but yeah, there is a talk that they will be using the long range weapons against the cartels, which is, yeah, about time. So they will, it's like, but it's the whole other, can of worms, so to speak. But the point is, United States was always expeditionary power. And they were trying to marry two things there. What is the endemic in the American view of the, defense of the, U.S. proper. It's easy to defend. Nobody wants to go and make this gigantic amphibious operation. Let's say Chinese somehow build the fleet of the 20,000 amphibious ships and they land into California. Good Lord. I mean, many people will applaud them for taking over it, so,
Yeah.
and they try to, go. No, it's garbage. It's, I mean, the fantasies. Nobody wants to attack United States as long as the United States doesn't want to attack anybody else. But you know what? That's the point. 80 years after World War II, in historical terms, it's a very short
Oh yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. No,
It's a very short time. And United States was the last chance of the Western civilization to kind of maintain its grasp on the world. There is no denial. We live in the world shaped by the Western civilization. I'm Western civilization man,
sure.
But the point is, as I already stated, in the end, it all comes down to main pastime of humanity. And it is not art, it is not industry, it is war.
Hmm.
We are a species, a warring species, as pretty much any other,
Well,
But at some
I've
point of time, you
one of my
get,
buddies, Dale Comstock. He's in Delta Force, lifelong, hardcore, and he always says we are the warring ape, nothing more.
well, I mean, but yeah, generally
At its
speaking, yes.
core, at its core.
Yeah, at its core, yeah, we're a biological species. Nothing we can do about it, at least for now, until we erect those limiting, so to speak, fences, if you wish, which actually control our destructive tendencies. And now it happened. But again, I knew it from the moment I was studying in Naval Academy, for example, in the Soviet Union. And this is nothing, it's very different from Naval Academy in actually Annapolis in terms of much longer study, much heavier. And so, but what I'm saying is that people do not understand technological impact. They watch those movies, which is like Patton. I just made a video about territories and strategy, and people still believe it, to the point that some responsible American historians writing for example, some serious military publications in the United States, be that parameters, or military review, there are still professional magazines, professional publications, which at least sometimes you get people who make sense, who are competent. And when you read those things, it's like, yeah, they do understand, but they cannot change the system. The reason they cannot change the system, of course, because of the overall culture. American political elite is it's not military. They are lawyers. Nothing wrong with being a lawyer. The problem is, what is wrong is that first, it's corrupt. It's totally in the pockets of Israel and AIPAC. And secondly, they are militarily incompetent. I mean, take any senator, Tim Cotton, oh God, yeah, oh my God, heroes. Dude, have you heard even 30 millimeter shells blowing around you, let alone when Honey 52 flies in, let alone when Caliber flies in, and it continues to fly in, non-stop, and then Iskanders arrive. U.S. Army and those people do not have experience of anything. The only thing they ever faced was the either RPG at the most, and probably the IEDs and small arms fire. What is the tactic? Call in close air support.
Yeah.
Once somebody shoots, and that's
Well,
it.
what happens when there's a counter to the close air? Close air support's great against Afghanistan, sure. What
Sure,
happens
yeah.
when you're against any country with any rudimentary, not even missiles, just yeah, full auto 30 mils?
Yeah, so
Like,
but yeah, it's that's what it is. And now so now they United States made these movies about the uh, Gulf War and all that, and Russians already then in 1990 said, and I basically quote Mr. Klokotov, Lieutenant General, Chief of the Strategy Department of the Academy of the General Staff, saying this is not a war, this is some it's not serious, really.
no,
That's what he said. So, and but you have to study, and there's no study. I mean, there are some people, separate people, individuals, some individuals who are even, generals and colonels in the armed forces who understand this. It doesn't trickle up to the top. It doesn't trickle up to, for example, Congress. Congress in it to make money. And they don't care if they will continue to produce, for example, totally obsolete aircraft carriers. For example, it's mandated by the legislature to have 11 aircraft carriers. And these are great news for Newport News and,
Shipbuilding,
whatever
yeah.
people, So,
Raytheon
and yeah, let them
shipbuilding.
continue. But you know the old saying that, do you want to bankrupt the country? Give it a gift of the battleship. Same here.
Yeah.
You want to bankrupt the United States, which is already bankrupt. It is bankrupt. And these people continue to produce those obsolete and proven in combat as utterly ineffective systems. U.S. Air defense, especially Patriot, and now THAAD, listen, I cannot even explain to you the butt of the jokes, all over. It's like, and you have people such as Lieutenant General Semyonov, the first deputy commander of Russian Aerospace Forces, saying that Patriot PAC-3, he was in the interview to TASS and RIA News. He said, well, it cannot defend itself. Forget it can defend something else, And this is what is happening. And this is absolutely, manifest demonstration of what a volume of the BS and propaganda which was unloaded on the unsuspecting world. And as a result, now everything, this edifice is completely destroyed. And as a result, Trump goes, and that will be a listening experience.
It's yeah, and that kind of always seems to be it. When you really look at the guys who rise to the absolute top, Eisenhower, Smedley Butler, you have all these guys, and they're kind of like final thesis after a lifetime of this is that it, we don't have to do this shit if we just bring it back to our country. That they always kind of
Yeah.
get to that, and you do have that the detachment is the people who they don't know they're moving up the corporate ladder or they get a
Oh,
job at
absolutely.
Raytheon or some shit, and
Yeah.
it's harmless until it's not until it leads to these wars. And again, the take home is like so let's take Russian winter. It's like the Russian everyone knows you just can't mess with it. The importance is the Russians don't try to export their winter in the idea of like, yes, it is very good on their home turf. Vietnam, the Viet Cong, very good at the jungle. The Viet Cong could not invade the United States. There's a lesson to be learned there, in that you have your home field. That is your God-given patch of land to go, this is your area that you control.
Yeah. This
It's
is your realm. You
it's not a
control it, defend it.
surprise when you can't, wrap around the planet with the military. It's really it is that simple. But I also, it's not simple because that's been the destiny of really every empire to ever exist ever is to overextend itself, become weakened, and collapse. And as you said earlier, the last off ramp, you could still, it's not gonna happen, but you could turn around. You could say, we're not doing any of this stuff, we're bringing it all home.
Well,
You could
that's,
do it. You
yeah.
could do it.
Just Yeah, he can, and that's what it is. And again, listen, as Larry Johnson also wrote a couple days ago about Trump, people, his friends who know Trump and they spoke to him. In real life, he is, when he's not the media persona, he's very insecure, and he wants to be
Yeah.
liked.
Well, duh. Yeah.
This is all traits of the narcissist, and so he will be trying to again to cure the favor with Putin in the sense of the reinforcing his own status. Vladimir Putin, he is a professional spy.
Well, yeah,
He knows things.
legitimately KGB officer. Like he's
Yeah,
not an
so
idiot.
it's he's SVR more than just KGB.
Oh
He's
yeah,
an
okay.
SVR. That's and so. Yeah, there will be the talk, but yeah, Russia understands that United States, it's a long story. United States is still superpower. It's not nowhere near as it portrayed itself, but it's still superpower, And while definitely, large economically, most of it already is financial sector, but it still has a lot of things which it can capitalize on. And whatever will be talked between them, obviously Putin will present to Mr. Trump real numbers, not what is provided him by his advisors. And
Correct.
real numbers, they are, well, Trump already knows a little bit about it. I'm pretty sure he's still, somebody periodically kind of pops a little bit his bubble. But this time he will hear from man himself. And yeah, it's good, as I already stated. And again, superpowers, they move in a different dimension. And even the corporate, I'm not talking about Biden administration, which is abomination, was complete abomination. These imbeciles would drive the world to the World War III. But even Putin today says, okay, that's fine. Depending on the talks, we might negotiate. That's Putin today, just a few hours back.
Okay.
We might go back into the strategic arms limitations. Russia doesn't have to do it because, and again, this is what I'm saying that many people do not understand. United States has nothing to offer to Russia because in terms of delivery systems, the United States is not even in the same galaxy. It's not by years. It's by 2 generations of the weaponry is behind. But Putin says, okay, let's go. Obviously, Russia will not allow U.S. Inspectors anywhere near of things such as RS-28, Sarmat,
That's what I
Avangard.
was to say the
So
same. Yeah.
obviously, that's what the United States wants to
Well,
know.
yeah, you
But
got to get a peek at the good stuff.
yeah, so, but no, let's talk. And there's no doubt about it. And obviously, they will be talking about the issue of the Russian anti-missile defense, which is, well, with the S-500 and S-550 in serial production. These are fully capable anti-intercontinental ballistic missile systems. And so they will be to talk about it. Russians are ready to talk on this respect, say, okay, let's negotiate, let's do some kind of strategic stability thing. But realistically, United States and Russia have one thing which, and I speak about it not stop, which ties them together very closely. Not only geographically between, the Chukotka and Nome and things like that. No, it's Arctic.
Oh
And,
yeah.
and United States, if it's smart, and Russians, you know what? Few years back, Russians offered United States participation in the Krasnoyarsk enrichment facilities for the gigantic spectrum of the rare earth minerals.
Yeah.
And so United States, obviously, and especially it screwed it up again, because yeah, everything has to be directed towards Israel. Russia said, okay, if you want to come in with the $15 billion investment, you get the share of this enormous wealth.
Yeah.
Well, you know what happened, so, but yeah, it's those offers are still on basically on the table. And if they want to really do things properly in Arctic, United States and Russia in this case are actually natural, if not allies, natural, how to cooperative powers, if you wish. And
Yeah.
so, but we'll see, so, but again, militarily and in terms of the special military operation and some kind of ceasefire, yeah, it's useless. Ukraine is not even the main point of the discussion there. It is last off ramp for Trump to extricate the United States from this freaking mess, okay, which was started by actually in 2014 by Obama's and
You're
this
right on.
Yukon criminal cabal of their, Nuland and, all kinds of this, So, and yeah, if not, then, well, yeah, special military operation will continue. Not that Russians want to have uh, Kiev or Kharkov. They don't. The Russians do not want to govern Ukrainians, okay? They are not brotherly people. This fairy tale is gone now. This is a highly hostile nation towards Russia, and Russians understand that.
I'm cautiously optimistic that, yeah, if there's just sort of kind of off the record in the skiff discussion, just Trump
Yeah,
and Putin. I'm cautious. I don't think it will happen. If it could happen with anyone, Trump's ego is also the thing that could help him. It could be like, hey, I'm going to end this
yeah,
shit. I can
yeah,
bring it all back. There's this. I'm not positive. I'm not optimistic, but I'm more optimistic for him than anyone that
yeah,
Trump lives in the world of making insane decisions. This
yeah,
would be an insane decision to go. You get the real numbers from Putin. They go, they go for a walk, no electronics. They go XYZ, ABC, blah, blah, blah. If it could happen, it would happen now with these two.
yeah.
And that might be the best opportunity and ultimately it's just like, so
It is. It
what does
is.
this mean? It's like, well, ultimately it means like the big picture is to retract these bloated militaries, which what does it really mean? Stop fucking killing people. Every person that dies, that's not just a number. That's somebody's son. That's somebody's
Exactly,
mom.
exactly. There is a
There's a
humanitarian
human
aspect to it.
thing, and there's always going to be war. I get that. I'm not a hippie. I understand that, but every
Yeah,
one of those people dead, man. That's somebody's brother. That's somebody's cousin. That's somebody's friend from kindergarten, and it's like that at its core. That's what it is, and so, I hope it can. So, well, it's worth to say a prayer for. So I think we should. But
absolutely, absolutely. I totally agree with you, man.
yes, well, Andra, hey, I know you got to run, so I'll let you go. Send me. I didn't know you had another book. Send me if you would. Send me a link to that. I'll get it. I'd love to have you on for it because we've done losing military supremacy. I didn't know you had a recent book to come out. I would love
No,
to
I
talk
have
about that.
I have 4 books.
Yeah, I would go. Yeah, well, we'll go with the most recent one. We'll go with the most recent one. So if you could
Sure, sure.
send me a link to Amazon or something, I'll buy it. I'd love to have you on for that.
Sure,
All right,
sure.
brother. Well, Andre, hey,
Okay.
it's always
Talk
good.
to you
This will be
later,
up
man.
tomorrow. I'll send it to you. You have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Andrei Martyanov. Heaven's Harvest Prepper Food, 72 servings per pail, 25 years shelf life. I've had the owner Clayton on the show before. He's a God-fearing, America-loving patriot. Get one of these, get a couple of them, throw them in your basement. It's good to have it, not need it, than to need it, not have it. If you don't want to do that, you can get their seeds. You can plant your own garden, so you don't even have to keep buying them. You can just get the goods and start your own, or you can even get freeze-dried fruits and vegetables like bananas, apples, strawberries, and raspberries. They support the show. It's an honest product. It's a good safety measure to have, and they keep my show free for you. So I'd implore you guys to please go to heavensharvest.com, use the link in the description, promo code TPC. Axios Fitness Coaching is a premium resource for holistic strength and conditioning services. Axios is best known for the Training Club, capital T, capital C, an exclusive community that prioritizes accountability, technique, diet, and nutrition. Everything you need to do to take action against the decay of the modern world. Whether you're looking to improve your physique, build strength, or just take care of your health and fitness, Axios will provide you with a solution that is effective and simple to execute. All you need to do is complete the intake survey, and you can see if you're a good candidate for the training club or any other of the services. And it's going to sponsor the show. So, one company falls off, another one arises. So if you guys like the show, you want to work out, throw the show a couple shekels. Go take the survey. Thank you so much, guys.
Higher ultraviolet exposure is associated with lower mortality. The United Kingdom is a high latitude and low sunlight country. Researchers there collected data on over 360,000 participants in a study of UV exposure via solarium use. When compared with non-users, solarium users had 15% risk lowered of all-cause mortality, 23% lower risk of cardiovascular mortality, 14% lower risk of cancer mortality, and a 12% lower risk of non-cardiovascular, non-cancer mortality. In other words, all other causes. Quoting the researchers, our study adds to the growing evidence that the benefits of UV exposure outweigh the risks in low sunlight environments. A link to the original publication is available in the box below the video. Get some UV light this winter. Immerse yourself in the tranquility of the blue. Visit a blue room soon. www.blueroom.com